For years, the Duggar family built one of the most recognizable brands in reality television. Through hit TLC shows like 19 Kids and Counting On, millions of viewers watched a family that presented itself as deeply rooted in faith, strict values, and traditional living. But behind the carefully crafted image, controversy surrounding Josh Duggar has continued to cast a massive shadow over the family's legacy. Now, that controversy is making headlines once again after a judge officially denied Josh Duggar's motion to vacate his conviction, a major legal setback that could significantly impact any remaining options his legal team may have moving forward. For supporters who hoped the motion would lead to a breakthrough, the ruling has sparked disappointment and renewed debate online. But critics argue the decision reinforces the original outcome of the case and signals that the court remains unconvinced by the arguments presented in the appeal effort. And as reactions spread across social media, many people are now asking the same question. What happens next for Josh Duggar, and what does this mean for the Duggar family's future in the public eye? In today's video, we're breaking down everything surrounding this latest legal development, including what Josh Duggar's legal team was reportedly trying to accomplish, why the judge denied the motion, the online reactions now exploding across social media, how this ruling could further impact the Duggar family's already damaged public image, and whether this latest setback could mark another major turning point in the long-running Duggar controversy. Because after years of scandals, documentaries, court hearings, and public scrutiny, this newest ruling may become yet another defining chapter in one of reality television's most controversial family stories. And the deeper you look into the situation, the more complicated the future appears to become. To understand why this ruling is generating so much attention online, it's important to first explain what a motion to vacate actually means. In legal terms, a motion to vacate is essentially an attempt to overturn or cancel a previous judgment or conviction under specific legal arguments. These motions are often filed when a defense team believes there were serious legal problems connected to the original case, whether involving constitutional concerns, evidentiary disputes, procedural errors, or questions about how the trial was conducted. In the case involving Josh Duggar, the motion reportedly centered on arguments tied to evidence handling, procedural fairness, and claims that certain legal issues deserved further review. While supporters of the Duggar family viewed the filing as a potentially important legal opportunity, critics argued that overturning a federal conviction after years of litigation is extraordinarily difficult. That's because motions to vacate are not simple appeals. Courts generally require defendants to meet extremely high legal standards before a conviction can even be reconsidered. Judges often expect clear evidence showing that a significant legal violation occurred and that the alleged error may have changed the outcome of the case itself. Legal commentators across YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, and legal analysis channels quickly began debating whether the motion represented a meaningful legal strategy or simply another attempt to revisit a case that had already gone through extensive judicial review. Some online discussions focused heavily on constitutional questions, while others argued the courts had already examined many of the core issues during earlier proceedings. And because the Duggar family spent years in the public spotlight through TLC reality television, nearly every new legal filing connected to the family continues drawing widespread online attention. What might otherwise be viewed as a technical court procedure suddenly becomes national entertainment news, social media debate, and commentary content all at once. For many observers, the latest ruling wasn't just about legal procedure. It was also about public perception and the long-term legacy surrounding the Duggar family name. Supporters of the family hoped that any successful legal development could eventually shift the public narrative surrounding Josh Duggar and reduce some of the intense scrutiny the family has faced for years. In online fan communities, some people argued that the continued legal fight showed persistence and determination from the defense team. But critics saw the denial very differently. Many argued the ruling reinforces the idea that federal courts remain unconvinced by the arguments presented by the defense. Others pointed out that repeated legal filings can sometimes keep controversies alive in the public eye far longer than families expect, especially when the case already carries massive media attention. At the same time, the emotional impact on the broader Duggar family continues becoming part of the public conversation. Discussions online frequently shift beyond courtroom procedure and toward the family's public image, future media prospects, and the ongoing strain created by years of controversy. And that's one reason this ruling has become such a major topic online. It represents more than a legal setback. For many viewers following the story, it symbolizes another chapter in a controversy that continues affecting not only Josh Duggar himself, but also the broader legacy of a family once known primarily for faith, reality television, and carefully managed public appearances. As details surrounding the ruling spread online, many viewers immediately focused on one major question: why exactly did the judge deny the motion to vacate Josh Duggar's conviction? According to reports surrounding the case, the court ultimately concluded that the legal arguments presented by Duggar's defense team did not meet the extremely high legal standard required to overturn a federal conviction. In other words, the judge reportedly determined that the issues raised were not strong enough to justify revering the outcome of the trial. That decision quickly sparked intense debate online. Across YouTube comment sections, Reddit discussions, TikTok reactions, and entertainment news coverage, viewers began dissecting every aspect of the ruling. Some people argued the outcome was predictable from the beginning because federal courts rarely overturn convictions unless there is overwhelming new evidence, proof of serious procedural misconduct, or a major constitutional violation that directly affected the fairness of the original trial. Others claimed that Duggar supporters may have been overly optimistic about the motion's chances of succeeding. Several legal commentators who discussed the case online pointed out that motions to vacate are notoriously difficult to win. Courts generally place significant weight on preserving final judgments unless there is a compelling reason to reopen the case. Because of that, many analysts believed the defense faced an uphill battle from the very start. At the same time, some supporters of Josh Duggar expressed frustration with the ruling and continued insisting that the legal process deserved additional review. That divide in public opinion has remained one of the defining features of this entire controversy. For critics of the Duggar family, the denial reinforced their belief that the conviction was unlikely to change. But for supporters, the decision became another emotional moment in a long and highly public legal saga. Legal experts also emphasized another important point during online discussions. The denial of a motion to vacate does not necessarily mean every possible legal avenue disappears immediately. In some situations, additional appeals or procedural options can still exist, although the ruling can significantly narrow future opportunities and make further challenges even more difficult. That nuance became a major topic of conversation because many casual followers of the story initially assumed the motion represented a final all-or-nothing moment. But beyond the legal arguments themselves, many observers believe the larger impact of the ruling extends far beyond the courtroom. For the Duggar family, every major legal update tends to trigger another massive wave of public attention. Even years after the original scandal first dominated headlines, new court developments continue reviving debates surrounding the family's public image, past controversies, and the long-running reality television empire they once built. And that ongoing scrutiny creates difficult challenges for family members attempting to maintain businesses, social media platforms, sponsorships, or public-facing careers. Some online discussions have even questioned whether the Duggar brand can ever fully recover from the controversies tied to Josh Duggar. Critics argue that the family's reputation has suffered long-term damage that may never completely disappear, especially because each new legal development reintroduces the story to newer audiences online. Others believe certain members of the family may eventually distance themselves further from the public spotlight altogether in an effort to move forward privately. What makes the situation especially complicated is that public opinion surrounding the Duggars remains deeply divided. Some viewers continue defending the family and urging compassion during an incredibly painful period. Others argue the controversies surrounding Josh Duggar permanently changed how the public views the family's image and legacy. As a result, every court ruling, legal filing, or media headline tends to reignite emotional reactions from both supporters and critics almost instantly. And because social media platforms amplify those reactions so quickly, even a single legal update can turn into a nationwide trending discussion within hours. That constant cycle of legal news, online debate, and public scrutiny is one reason many observers believe the Duggar family continues facing an uphill battle when it comes to rebuilding their reputation in the public eye. Almost immediately after news of the ruling became public, reactions across social media began pouring in at an incredible pace. Within hours, platforms like Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X were flooded with debates, breakdowns, emotional reactions, and legal speculation connected to the case. What may have once been viewed as a courtroom development quickly transformed into one of the internet's biggest trending discussions surrounding the Duggar family in recent memory. On Reddit especially, massive discussion threads appeared almost instantly. Thousands of users began analyzing every possible implication of the judge's decision, with some attempting to break down the legal reasoning behind the denial, while others focused more on the emotional and cultural impact of the ruling itself. Certain commenters argued the court's decision reinforced confidence in the original conviction, saying they believed the legal system had once again reviewed the claims and found no basis to overturn the outcome. At the same time, others questioned whether Duggar supporters would continue promoting alternative theories surrounding the case despite the ruling. Some users debated whether the family's loyal fan base would accept the court's decision or continue searching for explanations that aligned more closely with their existing beliefs. That divide quickly fueled heated online arguments, with comment sections becoming increasingly emotional as both supporters and critics defended their positions. Meanwhile, TikTok creators began posting rapid response videos discussing how the denial could affect the Duggar family moving forward. Some videos focused on the legal side of the story, while others examined the emotional toll the controversy may continue placing on family members connected to the Duggar name. Certain creators also explored how years of reality television exposure changed public expectations surrounding the family, arguing that audiences now react to legal developments almost like episodes in an ongoing television drama. On YouTube, reaction channels and commentary creators uploaded lengthy breakdowns analyzing every detail connected to the ruling. Some creators revisited older Duggar controversies to explain why public interest remains so intense years later. Others focused on how quickly online communities mobilize whenever major updates emerge involving former reality television stars. Several commentators pointed out how unusual it is for a reality TV controversy to continue dominating public conversation so many years after the original scandal first made headlines. Yet many online observers believe the Duggar story remains uniquely powerful because millions of viewers spent years emotionally invested in the family through television. Audiences watched birthdays, weddings, pregnancies, milestones, and personal struggles unfold on screen for over a decade. That long-term exposure created an unusually strong emotional connection between the family and viewers, whether positive or negative. Because of that investment, every legal update now spreads online almost like a major entertainment headline rather than a routine court development. For some viewers, the story represents the collapse of a once carefully managed public image. For others, it reflects broader conversations about celebrity culture, accountability, religion, fame, and the consequences of living life in front of cameras for so many years. Some social media users expressed sympathy for Duggar siblings, who continue facing public association with controversies they were not personally involved in. Commenters argued that certain family members may still be struggling with the lasting impact of scandals that continue resurfacing publicly. Others suggested the ongoing attention places enormous pressure on relatives trying to maintain private lives away from the spotlight. But critics argued the family's years in reality television inevitably made intense public scrutiny unavoidable. According to many online commenters, the Duggar brand became so recognizable over time that any major legal development connected to the family would naturally attract massive public attention. Some even argued the family's long history of media exposure contributed to why public fascination continues at such a high level today. The divide in public opinion remains incredibly sharp. Supporters, critics, former viewers, and casual observers all continue interpreting the situation through very different perspectives. And because social media algorithms often amplify controversy and emotional reactions, every new development spreads faster and reaches larger audiences than ever before. What might once have remained a courtroom story discussed mainly by legal analysts has instead evolved into a massive online cultural conversation. One fueled by years of television exposure, emotional audience investment, and the non-stop momentum of internet discussion. One of the biggest questions emerging from this latest ruling is what it means for the Duggar family's public image moving forward. For years, the family built an enormous television audience around an image of wholesome values, religious devotion, strict discipline, and close family unity. Through reality shows like 19 Kids and Counting On, millions of viewers were introduced to the Duggar household as a symbol of conservative family life and traditional values. But over time, repeated controversies dramatically changed how many people viewed the Duggar name. For some former fans, the shift has been impossible to ignore. Online discussions surrounding the latest court ruling show many viewers saying their perception of the family changed permanently years ago. Some argue that every new legal development only reinforces concerns they already had about the family's public image and the culture surrounding the brand they built on television. Others say the situation has become increasingly complicated because not every Duggar family member is viewed the same way by the public. That distinction has become especially important in recent years. While criticism surrounding Josh Duggar remains intense, some viewers continue supporting individual siblings who have attempted to distance themselves from controversy or create separate public identities online. Several members of the family have pursued independent social media platforms, YouTube channels, podcasts, and businesses in an effort to establish lives outside the original Duggar brand. But despite those efforts, major legal updates involving Josh Duggar often pull the entire family back into public debate almost immediately. And that may be one of the most difficult realities of becoming a nationally recognized television family. Once a family name becomes a public brand, controversies rarely stay isolated to one individual. Every sibling, spouse, or relative connected to that brand can suddenly face renewed scrutiny whenever headlines reappear. Social media users begin revisiting old interviews, resurfacing clips from television episodes, and analyzing family statements for hidden meaning. Even relatives who have remained largely private can find themselves pulled into online speculation simply because of their connection to the Duggar name. That constant attention can create enormous emotional pressure. Public controversies today do not unfold quietly. They unfold across YouTube commentary channels, TikTok reaction videos, Reddit discussions, entertainment blogs, podcasts, and non-stop social media conversations. Some Duggar family members have reportedly reduced their online activity at various times following waves of public criticism, while others continue trying to maintain a normal public presence despite intense scrutiny. For public figures tied to controversy, the internet often creates an environment where every post, appearance, or statement becomes heavily analyzed. At the same time, the family also faces a complicated generational challenge. Many viewers originally discovered the Duggars during a completely different era of reality television, when audiences were more likely to view televised families as inspirational or aspirational. But modern audiences tend to approach reality television personalities with far more skepticism. In today's online environment, viewers frequently revisit older television moments through a new lens, especially after scandals emerge. That shift in public culture has made it harder for long-running reality television families to maintain the same carefully managed image they once had. For critics of the family, the denied motion reinforces the idea of accountability. Many online commenters argue that the legal system reviewed the arguments presented and still upheld the conviction, which they see as confirmation that the original outcome remains legally valid. Those reactions have fueled renewed criticism, not only of Josh Duggar himself, but also of how the family handled controversies in the past. Some believe the family's public reputation may never fully recover because the scandals became too deeply connected to the Duggar brand over time. But supporters often see the situation differently. Some continue expressing sympathy for the broader Duggar family, while separating their views about Josh Duggar from their opinions of his siblings, parents, or extended relatives. Others argue that family members who were not directly involved should not automatically face endless public backlash whenever legal developments occur. That divide between critics and supporters continues shaping online conversations every time a major court ruling or legal update becomes public. Another factor adding complexity is the role of media attention itself. High-profile reality television families often exist in a cycle where controversy fuels renewed public interest, which then fuels even more media coverage. Every court update, interview, or legal filing can trigger another wave of headlines, reaction videos, and online debates. In many ways, the Duggar family remains a major topic of discussion, precisely because their story combines celebrity culture, religion, family dynamics, and legal controversy all at once. That combination keeps audiences emotionally invested even years after the family's peak television success. And now, with this latest ruling denying the motion to vacate, the Duggar family once again finds itself at the center of national online conversation. Whether people view the decision as accountability, tragedy, vindication, or simply another chapter in a long-running public controversy, one thing is clear. The Duggar name continues generating intense public attention. And as long as legal developments continue making headlines, discussions surrounding the family's image, legacy, and future are unlikely to disappear anytime soon. As reactions continue spreading online, many viewers believe this latest court decision represents another major turning point in the ongoing legal saga surrounding Josh Duggar and the wider Duggar family. For critics of the family, the denial of the motion reinforces confidence in the original conviction and in the judicial process that led to the outcome of the case. Across social media, many commenters argue that the ruling sends a clear signal that the court was not persuaded by the legal arguments presented by the defense. Supporters of that viewpoint believe the judge's decision closes another chapter in a case that has already generated years of intense national attention. At the same time, supporters of Josh Duggar continue expressing disappointment and frustration online. Some believe the legal system failed to properly consider the defense's concerns, while others insist additional appeals or future legal filings could still emerge down the line. Although opinions remain deeply divided, the emotional reaction on both sides shows just how polarizing this case has become over the years. What makes this situation especially significant is the broader impact it continues to have on the Duggar family's public image. For more than a decade, the family built a television brand centered around faith, family values, and a carefully crafted wholesome reputation through programs like 19 Kids and Counting On. But repeated controversies and legal scandals have dramatically changed how many viewers perceive the Duggar name today. Some former fans say the family's reputation may never fully recover from the ongoing controversy surrounding Josh Duggar. Others believe public fascination with the family has only grown stronger because of the constant stream of headlines, court developments, and online debate. Every new legal update seems to reignite discussion across YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, and entertainment media platforms, keeping the story in the public spotlight. And regardless of where public opinion ultimately lands, one thing is undeniable. The Duggar family remains one of the most controversial reality television families of the modern era. Even years after their peak television success, public interest surrounding the family continues to generate enormous attention online. Future appeals or legal strategies may still emerge, and legal analysts will likely continue debating what options remain available moving forward. But for now, this latest ruling appears to send a strong message about where the case currently stands and how difficult it may be to overturn the original conviction through the courts. As audiences continue debating the future of the Duggar family legacy, this decision will likely remain a major topic of discussion for quite some time. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.